So what I want to do in this video is talk about how we're able to get up to 9% cash back on all grocery purchases, or even get more value by getting 9x back in points and miles with the Chase Freedom Flex card, which is a zero-fee annual card. So without further ado, let me wow you a little bit here and talk about how you can actually do this right now. Let's get into it. So we're gonna have to break this down into a couple sections to kind of show you exactly how we're getting 9% cash back on all grocery purchases, especially for Q1 of 2024. So to start off, the sign up bonus for the Chase Freedom Flex right now, if you click on the link down below, what it gives you is $200 cash back after you spend $500, which is already basically a 40% return on your first $500 spent, and you have 3 months to reach that spending limit. But then also you get 5% cash back on all grocery and gas purchases for the entirety of the 12 months of opening that card. So if you open it right now, you have all of 2024 to accumulate those points in those two categories, up to $600 cash back, which is essentially up to 60,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points cash back. And that equates to $12,000 to spend on both gas and the grocery category. So if you just put that together, that alone gives you a 5x cash back on a grocery card for an entire year, which is better than pretty much anything you have on the market right now. For instance, in the Chase world, I know that you can actually get 3% cash back on online groceries with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and you can get 4x back on something like the Gold Amex and things like that, but 5x back for an entire year, there isn't really much out there aside from the Chase Freedom Flex, as well as the Chase Freedom Unlimited. But the Unlimited doesn't have the superpower that the Chase Freedom Flex has, because the way that you can actually get up to 9x points is that the Chase Freedom Flex has something called rotating quarterly categories. And those categories, they are rotating like I mentioned, which means that from January to the end of March, there's a subset of categories that fall under this 5% cash back. And then in April, it'll change, and then again, it'll change in the summer, and then it'll change one last time for the fall and winter seasons. But for Q1 of 2024, you're actually getting up to 5% cash back on all grocery purchases, as well as your gym membership, and then also some spa treatment things if it falls under that category. But this is where the magic happens. So the beauty of the situation is that you're actually allowed to combine both the quarterly bonus as well as a sign-up bonus. So if you guys click on the link down below, it gives you that sign-up bonus of being able to get 5% cash back on all grocery purchases to up to $12,000. And then right then and there, you're immediately put into, as long as you activate it, because you do have to manually activate the rotating categories. But once you do that, you also get your 5x back on groceries. And the way that this breaks down, and you don't get the 10% back, you actually just get the 9% back, is because the way that this breaks down is that you get a 1% cashback base point for any dollar spent. So that is where the $1 comes from, or the 1% cashback. Then you get an additional 4% cashback because it is a rotating category. And then you get another 4% cashback because it is part of that sign-up bonus. And that's how individually it adds up to 5% cashback. But when you combine everything, it does add up to 9% cashback. And that is something that's absolutely amazing. 9% cashback on a primary category is something that's absolutely unheard of. Now, there are some limitations on how much you can spend on the grocery category. So for the quarterly bonus category, you can only spend up to $1,500 in that quarter. So you have 3 months, basically $500 worth of groceries per month for Q1, which does equate to 7,500 Chase Ultimate Reward points, or like I mentioned, 5% cash back, which equates to $75 cash back on the grocery purchases. But then on top of that, you will be able to extend that through the entire year and still get up to 5% cash back on those groceries, because you have a $12,000 spending limit on groceries that equates to 60,000 Chase Ultimate Reward points, or $600 of cash back if you use it throughout the entire year, and end up spending $1,000 on groceries per month in 2024. So if you're looking for a grocery category card that has a $0 annual fee and you want to maximize that spend category, this is an absolute no-brainer. It's a zero-fee annual card like I mentioned. It's relatively easy to get approved for. It's kind of in that beginner category card, and one of my favorite cards that I still use to this day, because those rotating categories, I actually use them all the time. Like for instance, for Q4 of 2023, PayPal was in that rotating category, which meant that I could tie this card to my PayPal account, and when I was doing all my holiday shopping, I would just check out with PayPal, and then automatically I was getting 5x back on all the actual Christmas gifts that I was buying, up to $1,500 of spend, which was something that I maxed out pretty quickly. So if you guys need a zero-fee annual card for that grocery spend for at least the year of 2024, this is a card that you should definitely get. And like I said, it's going to be linked down below. For instance, I got this card in March of 2023, so I will be using that grocery category, and I'm going to max this out as much as I can before I lose my sign-up bonus, because they did have this sign-up bonus last year for 5% cash back on grocery as a category, as well as now I can also take advantage of that quarterly category of 5% cash back at the grocery store, giving me that 9% cash back in total for the remainder of this quarter, which is going to be amazing. And then there are also some other perks. I don't want to get too deep into everything that you get with this, but you do get 5% cash back on all Chase Ultimate Reward travel purchases, as well as 3% cash back on dining, 3% cash back on drugstores, and then 1% cash back on everything else. And then the last thing I do want to bring up is that the reason I keep mentioning that it is cashback or Chase Ultimate Rewards points is because the Chase Freedom Flex is part of that Chase trifecta. So if you have a Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is a $95 annual fee card, which I did already create a video on, and I'll link that down below as well if you guys want to check that out after this one, you can then actually convert that cashback that you're earning into Chase Ultimate Rewards points in the Ultimate Rewards portal, because technically you are earning cash back, but it's in the form of Chase Ultimate Reward points, and when you get the Chase Sapphire Preferred, it unlocks the ability to then use travel partners. If you only have the Chase Freedom Flex, then you have to convert those points into actual cash back at a 1 cent to 1 point ratio, which is actually more than enough, and it's totally fine. And that's, if you are team cashback, this is a great card still. But if you want to maximize and get maybe 2x value, 3x value, and turn that 9% cashback at grocery stores to 18 or 27%, that's something that you can definitely take advantage of if you get the Chase Sapphire Preferred. So definitely check out that video after this one. But that's going to do it for this video. I just want to do a quick PSA on the rotating categories, explain how you can get up to 9% cash back on all grocery purchases from January 1st to March 31st of 2024. And then I also want to do a separate video on the Chase Freedom Unlimited because it has a very similar sign-up bonus, but it's also a great catch-all card for 0 annual fee. But that's going to do it for this video. Like I mentioned, everything will be linked down below. Definitely subscribe to the channel because we have some more videos like this in the pipeline and some more point redemption categories, because I know a lot of people like to see that. And we're about to book a crazy trip for less than maybe 300,000 points, flying business class to Europe, round trip, and all hotels included. So definitely stay tuned for that one. But that's going to do it for this video. If you guys want to watch some more content like this, click on one of these videos right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.